Hello everyone and welcome back to Durbanites FPL Game Week 30 review and Game Week 31 preview. What an insanely crazy week this was. Let's start looking at the table. Very close up top now. Just 23 points separating the top two teams. Then a little bit of space between the rest of the teams coming up there, so some big gaps appearing, but the fight is still on for 5th, 6th, 7th position, very close. They're just 15 points between those teams, really fighting it out now. But with the last few weeks coming up, a lot of blanks, a lot of doubles to talk about. It's going to get very close. So let's have a look at the player selection for the week then. So after the madness of the free hits in the blank game week, we're back now with our staples of Mo Salah, owned by 11 out of 12 managers. Chris Wood, owned by 3/4 of the managers, as is Alexander Isak in that forward strike partnership. And then Milos Kerkez, just more than half the managers favoring him in the back. Differentiators for the week though, Marco Asensio coming good for Aston Villa as well. Just one manager having him in the team. Anthony Elanga having another great week as well, as did Morgan Rogers, so the youngster coming back strong for Aston Villa in that 3-0 win against Brighton. With that, let's have a look at the hits and misses for this week. Just one big call out. Mubs is the man at the moment. 30 plus points from strikers, an inspired choice to go with. Omar Marmoush in the absence of Erling Haaland, scoring really well, and a good captaincy choice as well in a week where Mo Salah blanked. Now, what does that mean for us? Looking at the best possible Durbanite selection, you can see Kevin Kelleher coming in for the injured Alison Becker, so doing really well there, and Emi Martinez on the bench. In the back, just Timber, Milenkovic, and Eduri. Nothing too fantastic from the defenders this week. In midfield, though, Asensio doing well to get the captaincy armband, Rashford doing well, Rogers as well, Elanga and Enzo with that win over Spurs. So a lot of good figures in that midfield. And then up front, just Isak and Marmoush coming in there. On the bench, you've got Wissa, Konate, and Guardiola to complete that section. Just one assistant manager played this week, and that is Pereira from Wolves. So this team would have got you 118 on the field as well, and 141 including the bench, so quite a nice bench boost there, with a total cost of 88.2. So guys, if you have your wild card available, have a look at this team. Quite a few good players here, quite a few players that have double game weeks coming up as well, and some blanks coming up, so just think about it quite carefully. If you have 88 million in your bank, you can still put together a fairly solid team from the selection as well. Now, looking at that, let's look at the game weeks coming up ahead. So as you can see, quite a few good games and good fixtures coming up in the next few weeks. Bournemouth still have a good run coming up, but they are really struggling to get the goals in the net. Kluivert's injured now as well, that not helping them at all. Even though Evan Nilsson is back, it really is a struggle for them to start winning. Newcastle are looking to get boosted back into their winning race as well. They've got Leicester this week, should be a good one, even though they do have Anthony Gordon with a knock and Alexander Isak with a knock. There's a chance that they might get limited minutes because they should be able to get the win over Leicester. However, that's the game that I'm favoring for this week. Then you've got Spurs. Spurs have had a rocky run, also a loss against Chelsea on Wednesday, but now they've got a chance against Southampton and Wolves, one after the other. A chance for Spurs to get some wins under their belt and try and move up the table. Then you've got also Wolves. We're taking on Ipswich this week. This should be a good win for them, and they have been doing well in the last couple of weeks. So look at them to get a clean sheet possibly and a few goals. Jorgen Strand Larsen, again, a great call out as a differentiator. And then they've got Spurs in the week after that, of course. Now, Arsenal don't have the best run up, but if you can see, they've got in game week 33 a double coming up, as do Aston Villa. That is very important, especially if you still have your free hit available to play in game week 34. That's going to make a big difference to Arsenal and Aston Villa. You can pick up a good few fixtures with good possibilities of wins, goals along the way. Chelsea with that win over Spurs, maybe signaling a comeback for Cole Palmer. I'm not sure how many people are convinced with that assist only, but they do have Brentford coming up, then Ipswich and Fulham. And then Everton, Nicholas Jackson is also back as well, so a couple of options to look at. And Enzo Fernandez, of course, has been popping in a few goals with that roaming midfield position this year. Then you've got Liverpool looking to become the champions really quickly in this next setup. So before they get to Chelsea and Arsenal in game 35-36, they can string together a good run of wins. And if Arsenal do end up bottling it, then it's going to be an easy win for Liverpool and a stroll through to the title. Now, along the way, you've got to also watch out. You've got Crystal Palace coming up. Now, Crystal Palace, quite interestingly, guys, 5 fixtures in the next 3 weeks, which makes it so tantalizing to go with the players like Mateta, Munoz, Ismail Assar, or Eberechi Eze. However, look at those fixtures. City, Newcastle, and Arsenal are 3 out of those 4 fixtures, and Brighton is not an easy win away, and then so is Bournemouth. So not the easiest, but again, just appearing in those fixtures, just getting a clean sheet, there's a lot of points that are out for grabs. So think carefully about maximizing on those players, even though we are asking you to be cautious with that. Don't forget the blank in game week 34 as well, because of these commitments to the FA Cup. In that week, the FA Cup semi-finals, again, if you have the free hit to play, that's the last chance you want to look at playing that if you're not playing it in the double game weeks. Same with City. City have got Manchester United, the derby this week. Then they've got Crystal Palace and then Everton, Aston Villa in that double before blanking in game week 34. Then you've got also Brentford and Everton. As you can see, Brentford, Everton, Fulham, Manchester United, some really tough run-ins towards the end of the season. All of them fighting for place, really scrapping to get in somewhere above in the table. For Everton and Manchester United, it's a bit about keeping really clear of that relegation battle. They are already fairly high above it, but they want to get as far as possible. And for Fulham and Brentford, it's about scrapping to get into some kind of European spot, the last chance that they will have to do that. Now, what that means is that when you look at the players, we've still got Alisson out, so missed the game completely last week. Possible that he might do it again. So if you're looking for Kevin Killer, that's a chance for you to do that. But look at the injuries this week, guys. Trent Alexander-Arnold out, Gabriel out, Timber doubtful for Arsenal, went off after 76 minutes in the last game that they played. Then Aina's out for Forest. I don't know how influential he is. Manchester United still missing Martinez, Botman's out, Hall's out, and Stone's out for Manchester City. It is quite a hectic time in the league. But for the picks, goalkeepers, you've got Pope from Newcastle looking good. Vicario's got 2 fairly good games. They should be able to win. Sarr is doing really well for Wolves, a clean sheet this last week as well. And then Kepa from Bournemouth, who is trying his best. He's still got a good chance. He's a good keeper. Now, looking at the defenders, Saliba comes in to replace Gabriel, mainly because he is the one stalwart defender at Arsenal right now that is fit to play, so chances are he will get the games. Milos Kerkez is still there, as is Huijsen, both there for the Bournemouth attacking options. Pedro Porro for Spurs, based on the games that they have coming up. And then Ryan Nouri, who's doing really well, 8 points last week as well, was really good. Lucas Digne from Aston Villa, good, cheap defensive pick, guys, considering that Aston Villa will have some double game weeks coming up. Definitely one that you want to look at on a budget. And then Cucurella as well from Chelsea as one of the picks for defenders. Then, if we look at the midfield, Rodri's still out for Manchester City, but Bob is back in. McNeil looks like he could actually play for Everton as he starts making his comeback. Wilson is still out for Fulham. Ahmad is still out for Manchester United, but the news is that he might start playing before the end of the season, which is really good news for Manchester United fans. Anthony Gordon's back from his suspension, but has a knock, so might get limited minutes in the new games coming up. And then, of course, Justin Kluivert from Bournemouth, quite a heavy hit on him, so he is only 50% chance ready to go. Chances are he might come in to play some limited minutes, so just be aware of that. From the picks, the Pharaoh is back, so Mo Salah's back on the list for this week, as is Anthony Elanga, who's doing fantastically well. Really having a great season this season, so backing him on this one. Guess who's back? Starboy came off the bench to score a goal last week. So picking up 8 points there. Bukayo Saka, definitely one that you want to look at as Arsenal start pressuring Liverpool or try to start pressuring Liverpool. They still don't have a striker up front, so Leandro Trossard and Mikel Merino are the two options that might be used there. So take a choice between them. These Aston Villa trio of Rodgers, Asensio, and Rashford, they are doing amazing at this moment in time. You got to look at some rotation here because don't forget that Aston Villa is still in the Champions League, and what that means is that they're going to have to watch how their squad plays and kind of really wonder whether they're going to go for the Champions League this year or whether they're going to try and hold on to that top 4 spot. Then you've got Son and Anthony Gordon. Now Son is not injured. They've got really 2 good games coming up, and that trio of Son, Maddison, and Johnson, you've got a good choice there of getting some points on the board. Anthony Gordon, recommending him for sure because he's so influential for Newcastle, but just be aware that he might have some limited minutes. And then, of course, Enzo gets the go-ahead for Chelsea with Cole Palmer severely out of form. He does not make the list this week. Then finally with the forwards, again, all sorts of havoc here. Havertz is still out for Arsenal, as is Gabby Jesus. Richarlison is starting to make his way back for Spurs. Cunha is still suspended, which is insane because he's missed all the chances for Liverpool, for Wolves to actually make that score. And then you got Chris Wood, who's doubtful. Haaland, that's doubtful, and Isak's doubtful. Guys, in this week, 3 out of the top 5 defenders are out, and 4 out of the top 5 strikers are not able to play and or doubtful for this week. It is a lot of turmoil as we get into the last weeks. So looking at the picks, you've still got Alexander Isak. That's a pick there. He might get limited minutes again because Newcastle is trying to rotate their squad, but he should be fit to play and to start. Then you've got Ollie Watkins. Now, Ollie Watkins doesn't have an injury that is showing up, but he did pick up a slight knock that meant that he didn't play at all in the midweek game this week. However, again, Aston Villa is balancing a Champions League schedule and an FA Cup schedule along with the Premier League, and they have to really rotate their squad to prevent injuries in this critical time. Evan Nilsson's come back from injury for Bournemouth, and he is doing well, popping in the goals, so definitely worth a look at. Logan Strand Larsen is doing extremely well again with Cunha missing. He's the main man, and he has been putting the ball in the net. Jean-Philippe Mateta is back, and he is also in good form. Again, if you're looking for players from Crystal Palace that will play in those 5 fixtures in 3 weeks, Mateta is a good option because he is their premier striker. Vicky and Cody Gakpo to lead the line for Liverpool as he has come back from his injury now, and then Dominic Solanke for those that want to take an outside bet on Spurs based on the fixtures that they have coming up. In terms of assistant managers, Eddie Howe is the big pick here for Newcastle. A lot of people favoring Newcastle to get a good win this week, so a lot of goals in there as well, clean sheet bonuses, so a chance to do that. Raola for Bournemouth as well, although he's not been doing really well. Pereira's had 2 good weeks, also made our teams in the last 2 weeks with 9 points and 8 points respectively. That's not so bad for a Wolves manager, and it's got a chance again this week to do the same. Big Ange is in here. Postecoglou is there for Spurs if you want to take a punt on him as well. And then Arne Slot is, of course, one of those guys that you can probably hang your hat on. He's probably going to get a win out there. And then Olivier Glasner from Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have a chance to get a lot of table bonuses if they play well. So, with that wrap up, guys, let's look at the chip strategy as well. So 2 of these weeks are now gone. 29 is done. 30 is done. Depending on how you want to play it, week 31 and 32 is where you're looking to probably play that wild card if you still have it. Try and bump up the team for game week 33. So somewhere in game week 32, you want to look to bring in players that will have a double game week 33, and still have some representation also in game week 34. So ideally in game week 32, you want to bring in some of the good players who have good fixtures that will also double in game week 33. Gives you a chance to play your bench boost in 33 after your wild card in 32. And then in game week 34, you have the option of playing your free hit if you still have it. That's the last blank game week of the season. There are probably going to be 1 more sets of double fixtures coming up in the last 4 weeks because of the FA Cup final, but there's no guarantee on that. So that's what we have for this week. I think we're all wrapped up for now. Very short deadline. Tomorrow at noon is the deadline. So make sure you get those changes done. That's all we have for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop us a comment. We'll catch you on the next one.